Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Gaming Mix podcast, your official podcast from analogstickgaming.com. Of course, if you don't know me by now, my name is Jordan, one of the co-owners of Analog Stick Gaming, and to my right, as always, we have the founder himself, Jeff. How are you doing today, Jeff?
Doing pretty good. Got up like 3 minutes before my alarm and took Banter up for his little daily constitutional, and now.
Okay. Yeah, and we've got some pretty big news to talk about today.
Kind of. I mean, apart from it was kind of a slow news day. I'll admit, gathering news was pretty difficult in terms of like.
But there is one major story that will impact a lot of things, which we'll get into, I'm sure. However, let's take a little minute to intro ourselves and talk about some other things we've been doing, because you may remember if you watched or listened to last week's podcast that I went to London this week to see Hans Zimmer in concert.
How was Hans Zimmer? Was he? Did he blow the doors off the entire stadium?
Kind of, yeah. He's surprisingly funny, and one of the funniest parts was when he started making fun of the banjo and talking about what a terrible instrument the banjo is. So, it was a really nice experience. I did enjoy it. However, I unfortunately came back with some health issues, which is why things have been a little slower this week. And
the Zimmer flu?
kind of. But yeah, so things will probably be a little bit slower from me in the coming weeks. But we do have, of course, just to remind you while we're here, if you haven't been watching, myself and Jeff have been doing a Call of Duty Black Ops 7 co-op campaign playthrough, and there are 3 episodes up right now. Episode 4 is coming on Monday, and I would imagine that at some point over the next few days, myself and Jeff will get together and finish off the campaign.
So I only have the campaign installed. I uninstalled zombies, I uninstalled multiplayer, everything like that. There was like a 37 gig update yesterday.
Oh, wow.
For the single player.
Oh, wow.
Like, what the hell, Call of Duty?
Yeah. But of course, there is something massive that happened in the wrestling world recently as well, called Survivor Series War Games, or as some people are calling it this year, Survivor Series Boar Games. So we should probably get into that, Jeff, for our wrestling fans here.
Yeah, I mean, Survivor Series, there was a lot of hype going around it. These events always have hype, but this is kind of in a new era because you have the ESPN era, the Netflix era, and all that stuff. So they were really hyping it up, and it had one of the best rosters in regards to war games on kind of all sides. But I feel that they didn't really use them well. I mean, the ladies match opened up, and like Nia Jax did almost nothing. Lash Legend did almost nothing. And like, I mean, there's Becky Lynch is causing controversy right now, saying that she was waving her friends on and stuff. And not,
yeah, I know. I did see that.
But that match ended just as it was getting good. Like,
I
just
agree.
as people were finding their grooves as being in there, because Nia and Lash Legend did absolutely nothing. And there wasn't really a lot of big moments. No one was really bringing weapons or tables into the ring in that fight. Yeah. I mean, Io got her trash can segment, which was great, where all the bad guys got up. Oh, what's going on?
I did also like the fact that what they did with that was like AJ was trying to give her the bin,
and then Rhea lifted her up on her shoulders and stuff like that.
That was pretty cool.
They didn't pay off the like "I'll make us win no matter what" that AJ had mentioned.
Yeah.
There was just like there was no storytelling in that match at all.
I agree.
So it was just like you had some of the best talent WWE's got right now in that match, and I don't think it was.
Do you know what's funny? I would say that's arguably the strongest women's match in terms of the roster that we might have ever seen. Like,
Yeah.
like
Like it was massive. I mean, like
really
I'm not a
strong.
fan of Jax, but she can display a lot of power to
Yeah.
kind of do stuff when she's not sitting on people.
Yes, she plays a role within that division,
Yeah.
and she does play it well. As much as I'm not a huge fan of her either,
Yeah,
and she has been known to make a mistake here and there. I think they all make mistakes at some point.
Yeah, yeah. Lash Legend had a chance to really stand out in that match, and before they could even use her, they had her get sprayed by Asuka accidentally as Charlotte Flair saved Rhea, and then they didn't even mention that save on Raw or SmackDown or whatever.
Yes.
But that match was just not great.
Just to let you know, Jeff, your camera does keep freezing momentarily, so I don't know if you want to turn it off and back on. And just...
I'm not too sure because I'm not seeing it on my end.
Oh, that's strange. Let me just have a look at the settings here and make sure everything's okay.
Sure. I'll just keep talking. The Stephanie Vecker and Nikki Bella match didn't even feel worthy of a SmackDown or a Raw episode. It felt like something you'd get at a live event. It wasn't entertaining at all, really. I mean, even then, Stephanie Vecker was visibly pissed at Nikki Bella for fucking up the Devil Kiss, because you're supposed to have your knees down, and Nikki just had her knees spread, so she was taking the hit differently. And when Stephanie got up, you could see Stephanie was mad. And then we also had Dominic versus John Cena, which was a gimmick match to reintroduce Liv Morgan. So the match itself was not terribly great. Like when you go from the AJ Styles match to anything now, it just feels like it's letting down. Like that AJ Styles match should have been his last match.
Yeah, it was so good. It was so good.
The Dom match and stuff just wasn't entertaining at all. And we knew that Dominic Mysterio was going to win the title back. That just felt like it was just going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's good that he put over new talent, or at least young talent. And then having Liv back, and then her doing the John Cena hug and ball kick and stuff like that was pretty funny. So it's good having Liv back. And then we had the men's War Game match. I don't still understand why we didn't have a fifth match. Like they could have had Jade Cargill versus whoever. Like they could have had a triple threat with her and B-Fab and Michin or whatever, and then she just wins in like 4.5 minutes or something. Like they could have had something, but instead they're like, "Hey, look, here's another celebrity. Here's another celebrity. Oh, here's another celebrity."
Yeah, yeah.
But we had the men's War Games match after that. And it's worth pointing out that they didn't have the shark cages this year. So it was kind of like a Royal Rumble type of thing, except every single time the timer would go down and be like, "Oh, it's going to be Jimmy Uso." And then it was Jimmy Uso. Oh, it's going to be this, because like you need to
not having the shark cages was a mistake, I think.
For sure. Because like you already knew who was going to come out, because you would have a power hitter. I'm like, well, you're going to have a fast guy now.
Yeah.
Then you're going to have a power hitter. Then you're going to have a fast guy.
Although I will say I was surprised that for the face team, for the good guys, I was surprised that Punk and Cody came out first. Like,
yeah, I mean, I was surprised that Punk came out first, considering like it would have been smarter, I think, for like Cody and Drew, to like start it off, just to kind of continue that feud and stuff. But like honestly, like most of the guys never really were not used terribly well. I mean, like Roman came out, did like a couple little things. Brock came out, did a couple little things. And it just never felt like there were big moments. And I don't know if they were going less because last year they went super big on moments and everybody got injured.
So true. That's a good point.
I don't know if that's the case. And then the worst leak in history, Austin Theory came out dressed all in black.
And I don't know if you remember, but when we were talking about this a while ago, we were talking about Survivor Series a few months ago, and I said that I heard Austin Theory was supposed to be involved.
Well, that's been a rumor for the longest time.
So the second that happened, it was like, well, you know who it is.
And I love how like all the wrestling fans and stuff like that, it is Austin Theory. Look, side by side, they have the same butt.
Yeah.
They're like, it's so funny.
What I will say, though, is I'm glad that Austin Theory, because it is going to be Austin Theory unless they pull a massive swerve. I'm glad that, they're bringing him back and actually giving him a push with this.
At first, I thought it was Fatu. At first, I thought Fatu was going to come in and do something and stuff like that. But no, when he did the stomp, whatever, I'm like, well, it's not Seth Rollins. They're making us think it's Seth Rollins.
Yeah, I agree. I think, it's hard because I wouldn't say War Games was a bad PLE. I don't think that's the case. And I think that people who are saying that are overreacting slightly. I think the issue is that for the talent on the card and for how well the show was actually built, like the build towards the show was good, other than Brock Lesnar slipping over during his entrance on Monday Night Raw, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah.
Other than that, the build for this PLE was very good.
Yeah.
And it just didn't deliver on the expectations. I think that's the problem.
Yeah, like it just didn't have, like, the singles matches in between the War Game stuff were boring. There was nothing really redeemable about them at all, especially the Nikki Bella and Stephanie Becker one.
At least the John Cena one had a purpose, right?
Yeah.
Like, there was actually a purpose to the John Cena one. So while it's disappointing for John Cena, it was his way of kind of he did, he made them look great. Let's be honest. He made them look great. And then
Raw is continued to build up that Gunther is going to win this whole thing, unless they swerve and LA Knight wins it.
I mean, they really should. It should not be Gunther.
So freaking good.
Yeah. And LA Knight did a interview recently where he talked about he was basically asked that if he is the one to retire John Cena, would he get emotional? And he said, yeah. And so I think that, we often only see these people as their characters, but it's interesting to see LA Knight kind of going out there in interviews being like, yeah, this would be a big moment for me.
Can you imagine, if The Miz, who was upset because he lost against LA Knight, if he went in to try and interfere with the match and accidentally cost Gunther the match?
That would be funny.
Between Miz and Gunther.
That would actually be quite funny, yeah.
Because I like Miz, where he snuck the piece of paper and then put the other piece of paper in.
And what I'll say is, if Gunther hadn't retired Goldberg earlier this year already, then I might feel a bit different about the possibility of Gunther.
You don't do it back to back like that.
Yeah, what are you trying to do? Make him the legend killer? That's Randy Orton's thing.
Yeah, and Orton's away on taking time off or whatever the case is, but Gunther doesn't need the rub. He doesn't need this.
No,
LA
he really
Knight,
doesn't.
Out of the two of them, would do so much better because LA Knight just feels like he's playing second fiddle. They're seeing him as a mid card guy who has main event status.
The only thing I can think about it is that Gunther's title run with the world title didn't go the way that they had hoped.
Well, no, because they were having him fight nobodies.
Yeah. And then I think that since then, they've kind of struggled to get him back to that level. And I think in their minds, this might be the last chance of really making Gunther a big-time player. And what better way to do that than have him end the career of arguably the greatest of all time?
I just find Gunther to be boring. I think his wrestling is stiff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just like I'm just
I
not a
think
fan of
I think
Gunther at
for
all.
me, I like his wrestling is stiff, but it has some old school qualities which I enjoy. However, I think his character is extremely boring. I think it's to the point where he almost doesn't have a character. Like now that he is not with Ludwig Kaiser and all those kind of things,
Yeah.
he doesn't actually have a character now. He's just a talking guy that beats people up. You know, it's
Yeah.
just it's there's not really anything more to him, and I think it becomes hard to be invested in someone like that because you can do that when you're amazing in the ring and when you're
Can,
doing flashy and interesting things in the ring, but that's
can
not
you
his
imagine
style.
that when if they do LA Knight, when LA Knight wins or whatever like that, shakes Cena's hands, whatever, and then they both do the type of thing.
Yeah,
Like
that would be
that was
cool.
so good. And apparently it's opening the show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Cena was on Fallon or whatever, and he was talking about how like his match will like kick off everything so that the future of the industry comes after.
That's interesting. That's
Yeah,
actually really interesting.
but the nice thing about that is it allows his speech to be kind of as long as it needs to be.
Yeah, it allows them to get. They're not going to make the same mistake they made with Goldberg, right? Like,
Yeah.
they made a mistake there, and
the thing with the Goldberg thing is it doesn't make any sense because that other match was then cut short, so they would have had more time, right?
yeah, precisely.
Yeah, so weird.
And
But,
and also for what I don't get with the Goldberg one in particular was like whether you love or hate Goldberg, this guy is a proper legend of the industry.
yeah.
Why would you not go out of your way to make sure that he has the send off he deserves?
Yeah, I watched Ready to Rumble recently again, and like Goldberg's in that as well too, and like Jimmy King and all that stuff. Like it's so interesting seeing that because like Diamond Dallas Page, he played a huge part
Yeah.
in that movie
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Sting was in that movie a lot. It's like, yeah, like when Sting comes into the ring, whatever, and the one guy
Yeah.
is like,
That is
"You
a
love
real
Jimmy
blast
King.
from
I
the
love
past,
Jimmy
that
King.
one.
You love a man. I love a man." And like punches him. That movie's so good.
Brilliant movie. But now we should probably move on to video games. However, before we do that, I believe, as always, we have a word from our sponsor.
I do, but it's on my old phone, so I gotta wing it here.
Yes, for once.
All right. So if you are worried about your internet security or your identity, actually, NordVPN is kind of the answer for it. There are tons of other types of competition to NordVPN in regards to being that kind of software. But NordVPN does a fantastic job at protecting your identity. It allows you to also browse a lot of content that is available outside your region. So for example, we're going to be talking about the Netflix news that's going to be coming down the pipe. So if that goes down and you don't have access to a certain region of Netflix, you don't get that content. So you can go to nordvpn.com/analogstickgaming to take advantage of their Black Friday prices while they last.
Yes.
But if you want to,
And I can also confirm, actually, while you're there, sorry, Jeff, to cut you off, because I had a special email yesterday from NordVPN to confirm that between the 10th of December and the 7th of January this year and into next year, NordVPN will be on a special offer where you can get up to 77% off plus an extra 3 months subscription if you sign up for their 2-year plan, because they do offer a 2-year plan. And in the US, it's 77% off. And in the UK and several other regions in Europe, it's 74% off. And then in Canada, it looks like it's 75% off. And you may think, oh, God, a 2-year plan, that's going to be really expensive. But in truth, the monthly cost is so low on NordVPN that the 2-year plan isn't going to cost you a lot anyway.
Yeah,
And at
it's
70
stupid
odd
cheap.
percent
Yeah.
off, you may as well, like, so if you're looking at signing up for this thing, please use our link as Jeff said,
Yep.
you know, nordvpn.com/analogstickgaming. We'll link it below. But I would potentially say wait for 5 or 6 days so that you can get the best offers available that they're going to be putting on
Well,
for
right
this
now, I
holiday
believe
season.
it is still sitting at 75% off. So I think if you live in the United States, you can get an extra 2% off plus that 2-year deal. Either way,
Yes.
it is incredibly cheap, and it has a lot of benefits. And the nice thing about NordVPN, as opposed to other VPNs, is this one doesn't tax your computer. It doesn't slow you down. If anything, it makes everything kind of run faster.
Absolutely.
So
and that's
take
something
advantage of
I've
it.
experienced myself, you know, and as someone who uses a VPN quite regularly, because being in the UK, let's just say there are some issues with internet usage now because of certain things that have been going on in the UK. And when I've used other VPNs in the past, they essentially half my internet speed. Whereas NordVPN does not throttle that internet speed at all. So I really do recommend it for that purpose. And of course, we should also mention something which we forget to mention sometimes, but you can also get NordPass from us by using our affiliate links or clicking the NordPass button on any of our news articles on analogstickgaming.com. And NordPass is Nord's password manager, and it allows you to create passwords, keep track of all your passwords. And a password manager is something I really, really recommend. And look, Nord has a very affordable one. But the best way to be secure online with passwords and other things like that is if you don't even know the password yourself, how can someone else know it, right? So I really recommend that as well. So please, if you're interested in any of the Nord products, use our link below, nordvpn.com/analogstickgaming. And of course, it's important to mention, as we always do, that should you stay subscribed past the 30-day money-back guarantee that Nord offers, we will receive a percentage of your subscription money, and that will go directly to Analog Stick Gaming and everything we do here, allowing us to do even more great content. So thank you very much.
All right.
Now let's get into the news. Should we start with the big one? I feel like we should.
I'm going to start with the sad one.
Okay.
This one's not on the docket just because I forgot to add it to the docket. So this one is unfortunately pretty sad. And that is Mortal Kombat actor Cary-Hiroyuki Tagawa has passed away. Cary Tagawa was known for his role in Mortal Kombat films. He's passed away at 75. Tagawa died in Santa Barbara Thursday, reportedly due to complications from a stroke. Tagawa played the villain Shang Tsung in the 1995 movie adaptation of the video game. He went on to reprise the role across sequels, TV adaptations, and the video games through the Mortal Kombat 11 DLC. He was also a fun-loving grandfather in the hit Disney Channel movie Johnny Tsunami, which was filmed partly in Hawaii. This is incredibly sad news. He has been,
Please.
I mean, the Mortal Kombat film kind of made him an icon.
Yeah.
He still had an incredible film career, TV career, all that stuff. But yeah, like this is absolutely brutal. Like Mortal Kombat has been a franchise, one of the few video game franchises to last such a long time and be turned into so much material. And so having him back in Mortal Kombat 11 through the Shang Tsung DLC expansion was so cool. That Mortal Kombat 11, I think, was the best Mortal Kombat in a long time. It's way better than Mortal Kombat 1 that has been recently.
I agree.
And that DLC campaign, having him back, was just absolutely phenomenal. Seeing him back in the role of Shang Tsung, he never lost a step. You know, so it is it's absolutely unfortunate news, and obviously here everybody here at Analog Stick Gaming, we wish his surviving family and friends and stuff like the best that they can get for going through this tragedy.
Yeah, our thoughts are with them because this man, quite frankly, was legendary. Let's be honest. Like you can't describe it any other way. Absolutely legendary because of his role in the Mortal Kombat movie and then his connection with the franchise thereafter. He is just like he's synonymous with everything Mortal Kombat, you know, like
Yeah.
it's and when I saw this news initially, it because I saw it last night and it really did sort of take me back. I was like, wow, like, you know, and it's one of those things where this was the kind of news where you don't know how to react to it because there's not really anything you can say other than the fact that, you know, this man was legendary and thankfully he has work out there in the world, which means that although he is no longer with us, his work and his spirit will live on forever in the things that he's done, right? Like the gaming community is never going to forget this man, like ever, because anytime that there's a Mortal Kombat game, people will think of him. Anytime there's a Mortal Kombat movie, people will think of him. So therefore, he will, in some way, live forever.
And they'll
and
have
I think
like a dedication thing when the Mortal Kombat movie eventually releases the second
absolutely,
one.
absolutely.
Have
So I hope
nice
that I hope that his family and his friends can take some comfort in knowing what he meant to the rest of the world and to gamers specifically. Because yeah, it is really sad, as you say, really massively sad.
Alrighty. So in relation to that, since Mortal Kombat is a WB product, Netflix has agreed to deal to acquire the film and streaming business of Warner Brothers Discovery, which also includes its video game arm. After weeks of bidding from companies including Comcast and Paramount Skydance, the pair announced a deal worth $82.7 billion in enterprise value on Friday. Warner Brothers owns IP such as Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, the DC Universe, and also video game developers like Mortal Kombat's NetherRealm Studios, Batman Arkham creator Rocksteady, and Hogwarts Legacy's Avalanche, and LEGO Game Studios' TT Games. The U.S. competition regulator is likely to get involved before the deal closes, and Netflix is offering a $5 billion breakup fee if regulators don't approve the deal. Our mission has always been to entertain the world, said Ted Sarandos, co-CEO of Netflix. By combining Warner Brothers' incredible library of shows and movies with our culture-defining titles like Stranger Things, K-pop Demon Hunters, and Squid Games, we will be able to do that even better. Together, we can give audiences more of what they love and help define the next century of storytelling. Greg Peters, co-CEO of Netflix, added, "This acquisition will improve our offering and accelerate our business for decades to come. Warner Brothers has helped define entertainment for more than a century and continues to do so with phenomenal creative executives and production capabilities." So right now, they are talking about two things. One, how will this deal affect James Gunn's DCU that's going forward, whether or not they'll scrap it and start all over. And it doesn't talk about the video games as well too. So it doesn't talk about how that aspect of it is going to be affected. And essentially too, that these games are going to be owned by Netflix, which means do we get simplified versions and certain things to allow them to run on Netflix?
It's very interesting because this is a massive deal, and obviously it's not gaming only. It's going to affect movies. It's going to affect so many things, and there are definitely antitrust concerns here. However, I'm kind of on the fence at the moment because if the choice was between this or them being acquired by Paramount, which I think was the other company that we're having discussions with them,
Yeah.
I would argue that this is probably the better option. And it's something I discuss. So I wrote this piece of news up for the Outer Haven earlier today while I was waiting for Jeff to wake up, and so we could do this podcast. But one of the things I mention in there is a massive advantage of Netflix owning this content from a viewer and consumer perspective is that if you're in a region where some of WB's content is currently hard to access, either because their services aren't, like HBO Max, for example, isn't everywhere in the world, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of their licensing agreements split up their content across so many different places in certain regions that it is hard to get hold of some of these WB properties if you want to watch them, play them, whatever. And under Netflix, at least in the long run, that shouldn't be as much of an issue, right? There should be more widespread access for people to these things. However, where I am concerned is the gaming side of things, because the press release today doesn't really mention the gaming part. Like we know they're going to own it. They've confirmed that they are buying the gaming arm along with the rest of the WB side of things. But they haven't discussed in any way what their plans are for the gaming arm. Like, are they going to shut down some of these studios? You know, what's going to happen, for example, with the Mortal Kombat movie now? And what's going to happen?
The Mortal Kombat movie will be released before this deal goes through.
Yes, yeah, of course. But it's how it affects things in the future, right? This Mortal Kombat movie is going to be released into theaters and things, but then is it going to be held off of video on demand services and streaming services because of this deal? Like, is there going to be something?
Like, if those deals are already in place, it's the same thing as like when Microsoft bought a lot of the Bethesda stuff. There were still deals that were allocated.
And they had to see those deals through, or at least renegotiate them, right?
Now, if Netflix owns WB and Netflix has the deal with WWE, does that mean the WWE superstars can finally start dressing up as DC characters? Because I know Marvel has always been a favorite among that stuff, but I know that certain characters or certain wrestlers were getting cease and desists on certain outfits.
They were,
So I'm wondering if we're going to start seeing like Rey Mysterio dressing up as like Batman or something.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, because ultimately the Netflix WWE deal is massive, right? And WWE is a big driver for them. And also, if they own the IPs, it's basically free advertising for their other stuff, because they're already paying for the show to be on their service anyway.
Then why don't we have like Io Sky or Kairi Sane or something like dressing up as like K-pop demon hunters? That'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah, I know. It's that, but yeah, I'm very intrigued to see what this means for the gaming studios, because quite frankly, WB gaming studios have had somewhat a terrible time of it in recent years, and I think most of that isn't their fault. I think they've been under extremely bad management in a lot of cases.
Yeah, I mean, interested to see what Rocksteady's working on right now, just because like they were being a support studio for the definitive edition of Hogwarts Legacy, and then what does that mean for their future?
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll stay on top of it, and I'm sure that more will come of this in the next 12 months or so. I think they're saying that this should be done by Q3 of 2026. But of course, the weird thing about financial years is the company can start and end their financial year whenever they want. So Q3 for these companies isn't necessarily the middle of next year. It depends on when their financial year starts and ends. and therefore we'll have a clearer idea. But I'm not, as always with acquisitions, I'm not inherently against this in the same way that some people will be. But I do want some clarity on what this means for the gaming division specifically, because it does concern me how quiet they've been on it. Like they didn't even make a point of, oh yeah, and we'll be expanding Netflix's gaming offerings by, this deal will allow us to expand our gaming offerings, etc., etc. They literally don't mention it at all. So, and that's why when I was writing up the news, I had to dig through several things to make sure they were actually acquiring the gaming arm as well, because I wasn't even sure that they were doing that initially because they were so quiet on it. So we'll see. Time will tell. I really do hope the best for the WB Games studios, though, because they have some incredible studios. Let's be quite frank about it. Like Rocksteady, when they're allowed to do the thing they want to do in the way that they want to do it, have proven that they are able to make amazing video games. They've done many, many amazing video games. Then you've got Monolith, who obviously did the Shadow of War games and were working on Wonder Woman, and as far as we know, that's been cancelled now.
Maybe Netflix brings it back. Maybe they look at it like, oh, you guys were 85% done? Finish it.
Yeah. Yeah, like that's the thing. You can't rule out these kind of things, right? Like they might look at some of these projects and go, yeah, go and do that. Or they might say to Rocksteady, they might go, do you know what? Go back to Batman, or
Make
go
Batman
back to
Beyond.
we have no idea. And so I'm hopeful. I'm just not confident right now that this is going to be a positive thing across the board, but time will tell. Time will tell.
Yeah. All right. Sticking with movies and games, Sony Interactive Entertainment has announced a partnership with Bad Robot Games, which will see Sony publishing its first internally developed game. Bad Robot Games is the video game division of Bad Robot, the film and TV production owned by J.J. Abrams. The studio is currently working on an unannounced 4-player co-op shooter and will be directed by Mike Booth, who was the creator and lead designer on Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2. Partnership with Sony Interactive Entertainment allows us to bring our new IP to life, says Bad Robot Games CEO Anna Sweet she said in the statement. With the support of PlayStation, we hope to deliver a bold, innovative experience that is truly special for players. I could not be more excited that Mike Booth is at the creative helm, crafting a co-op adventure that will lead to unforgettable moments with friends. So, I mean, we've seen like creators kind of returning back to the roots, and sometimes it works for them, sometimes it doesn't. Yeah. Sometimes those types of games
question kind of about this guy is was he involved in Back 4 Blood? I'd like to know that information.
Let me see.
Because I think that could be interesting information. Because, we know that the team that was known for Left 4 Dead went on to make Back 4 Blood, and it didn't capture people in the same way. It wasn't a terrible game, but it certainly didn't capture people in the same way. But I don't know if this Mike Booth was actually involved in that game, because I know that not everyone on the original Left 4 Dead team was involved with Back 4 Blood.
He left before the development of Back 4 Blood. However, I don't think Mike Booth is a big enough name to kind of pull people in. I think people look at Left 4 Dead, they look at Left 4 Dead 2, they don't think that there's a name attached to it. And they're like, oh, okay. So then you look at Back 4 Blood, which was very much Left 4 Dead, and that game just did not catch people. So
it really didn't.
Will adding a name that most people don't know to the same type of formula even work?
No, but I think that adding Sony's involvement might. Because let's be quite frank, and I don't want to sound negative here, but some people, as soon as Sony have any involvement in a game, oh, the game is automatically better. Like, that is how some people's minds function.
Do they
I'm not
think about
trying to I'm not trying to criticize anybody, but that is genuinely the truth. Like, we've seen examples of it time and time again. There are so many situations where people think that because this company that makes great games a lot of the time is involved in a game, it automatically means it's going to be great. So I agree with you on the name factor thing. However, I think the difference is having Sony, aka PlayStation, involved with this process. And Bad Robot isn't exactly a small name either. Like, people do know Bad Robot as a company.
Yeah, well, they know Bad Robot is making like, 2 Star Wars movies that didn't really, pop off.
True. So it's going to be interesting to see. I do agree with you that the individual name of a developer in this specific case probably isn't big enough to pull people in unless they're people that were so into that series that they knew. Do you know what I mean? Like, you'll always get
like
some people.
200,000 people that maybe know who Mike Booth is that are playing these games now.
Yeah, precisely.
If Back 4 Blood Back 4 Blood was made by Turtle Rock Studios.
It was actually made by the studio, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, if that game didn't catch on,
yeah,
who's to say that this brand new team, even though Mike Booth is directing it?
Yeah, absolutely agree. Like I said, I think the one thing in this game's corner is having Sony, aka PlayStation, attached to it allows them a level of marketing that they wouldn't otherwise get.
Yeah.
And it also allows them a level of what I would call preconception and pre-expectation that they wouldn't otherwise get, right? Like,
yeah, because like it's announced for PC and PS5 right now, but do you think that Sony would bring it to Xbox because it's multiplayer?
I think at this point, anything's possible, right? Like, people might not want to hear that, but they decided to bring Helldivers over eventually. Yeah. So I think that with a multiplayer game in particular, I would be shocked. Like, if this game does fairly well, I would be surprised if it didn't end up like Helldivers 2 and end up on Xbox like a year later.
Yeah, but you got to figure that, like, are people even going to be playing it in a year?
True. Good point.
They would want the numbers pretty much like right off the bat. I mean, that's one of the reasons.
And also the other thing is, I think part of it is it depends when this game comes, because quite frankly, I think that Sony's approach to game releases, as we've discussed before, is going to change in the coming years. Like, for example, we know that this one's releasing on PC, but I wouldn't be shocked if by the time this game comes out, I wouldn't be shocked if every PlayStation developed game or a game that PlayStation has a hand in comes to PC day one, Yeah. And once that happens, then you have to think, okay, what's the next step? Because I've always made the thing of PlayStation, to me, is a good, like, they do some interesting things and they get a lot of things right. But there are a lot of areas where they actually follow other people and then they get praised for doing the thing that somebody else did first.
Oh, I know. When people are like, oh, Sony, you're a pioneer in crossplay. It's like Xbox.
Yeah, I know.
Started all that.
And so I wouldn't be shocked if, they're always behind Xbox with the, and not in terms of the hardware or the games or anything like that, but in terms of the services and the way they choose to give people access to things, they're always behind, because what they do is they wait.
Accessibility to their games is where they've kind of followed suit, because like now they're doing what Microsoft was doing years ago and getting criticized for it, and people are like, "Thank you, Sony. Oh my God, please give us some more." Yeah,
like, and that's what I mean. Microsoft started putting games on PC about 10 years ago. Then they changed to PC day one a few years after that.
Yeah.
And then, you know, 5, 6 years after that, we've now seen a rise of more games onto other competing consoles. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that something like this game, by the time it actually comes out, if Xbox is still around as a piece of hardware, which I expect it to be, and if it goes in the direction that we expect it to go, I wouldn't be shocked to see this game playable on an Xbox, you know? And maybe that's why it's announced for PlayStation and PC. Maybe they know that the next Xbox is essentially a PC and will be able to play the game anyway. So they don't have to put Xbox on it, right?
Pretty much. Alrighty. Speaking of Helldivers, the CEO of Arrowhead Game Studios has asked Helldiver fans to give the director of its upcoming live-action movie a chance. The Hollywood Reporter revealed this week that the Helldivers movie is said to be directed by Justin Lin, the director of several Fast and Furious movies. However, the articles note that Lin is not a gamer and leaned into that strength when pitching his take on the material. Has resulted in concern from some Helldiver fans who believe that Lin should be familiar with the source material when taking on such a project. As spotted by IGN, Arrowhead CEO Shams Jorjani addressed their concerns in the game's official Discord server, telling fans that he had faith in Lin's ability to deliver a great movie and that they should trust him too. After one member of the Discord server offered to direct the film instead because they were a fan of the game, Jorjani replied, "Let Justin Lin work his magic." When another member asked Jorjani to make sure the director at least plays the game or at least see some gameplay, he assured them, "I trust Justin. He did a great job on the Star Trek movie." According to the Hollywood Reporter's coverage, Lin aims to find the humanity in the characters and build out a world of mythology while infusing timely themes into the story. So this is like the same thing as like a lot of video game movies where there's a detachment from the creatives to the actual games. Like that's different with like the Zelda movie because the guy who's doing it is a fan of Legend of Zelda. Like there is some connective tissue there. We've seen a lot of issues with the Resident Evil films as well too. Is like the newest Resident Evil film that's going to be coming out has nothing to do with the games. So there's this weird Hollywood detachment of adapting games properly when we've seen certain companies like the Fallout, for example, that is absolutely a fan of the games, and they put all those little Easter eggs and things in it. So like now Justin Lin's not writing this movie, that's written by somebody else. But it'll be interesting to see kind of, you know, if it captures that kind of Starship Troopers kind of vibe to it, right? Because
I will say that I'm normally in the camp of yes, the person creating the thing and leading the ship should be someone who has a familiarity with the thing.
Yeah.
However, in this case, I'm kind of going to defend Justin Lin a little bit. I think he's proven to be a very good filmmaker over the years. I think he knows how to make good, action-packed movies, you know, which Helldivers is an action-packed video game, and therefore it suits his style. And the other thing I would say is he is only... It's going to sound derogatory, but I actually mean it in a positive way. He's only the director of the movie. And what I mean by that is they could have producers who are familiar with the game, right? They could have writers who are familiar with the game. He doesn't have to be familiar with the game to still create something that is interesting and faithful enough to the fans to be enjoyable.
I just find it funny. It's like, I trust Justin. Look what he did with the Star Trek movie. Star Trek Beyond is not well liked.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, like he made some of like the best Fast and Furious movies, so I'll give him that. Like I'll trust him on that end of it. You know, I wonder if like your commander will be Vin Diesel.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. I would just say that you know, there are so many moving parts in a movie, and and also the other thing is he's attached as the director right now. It doesn't mean he'll be the final director of the project. How many times
Yeah.
do we see a director walk away from a movie and then someone else come in, right?
Yeah.
Like
Maybe
like
that guy
for
off Discord. Maybe he will finally be able to direct it.
like for example, very famous British director Danny Boyle was supposed to direct one of the Daniel Craig James Bond movies.
Yeah.
And they actually got quite far into the creation of the movie, and then he walked away due
Yeah,
to
same as
creative differences.
Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Sam Raimi came on after there was creative differences with the other guy. Same
Yeah.
with I can't remember what movie it was. That the Wonder Woman director she was attached to originally, and then someone came on.
Oh yes, I can't remember which movie it was, but yes, I remember.
Yeah.
Because that was quite a big news story at the time. But yeah, that's what I would say is like, I like Justin Lin. I think that, okay, his Star Trek movie aside, as Jeff mentioned.
Oh yeah.
Like,
she was supposed to direct Thor: The Dark World.
Yes, that was it. Yeah. Because that was part of the reason that Natalie Portman was like, didn't, you know.
Yeah. She's like, I signed on this film to work with Patty Jenkins. Patty Jenkins was, she walked away from the project yesterday.
Yeah.
How? Every time I think of Natalie Portman, I think of that Saturday Night Live song where she does that rap and stuff.
God. But yeah, I look, I think that at the end of the day, to make a good Helldivers movie, it needs to be action-packed and not take itself over seriously. So it needs to be action-packed with some comedy in and a plot that's good enough to get you from point A to B.
Like a lot of the thing that people love about that game is the satire. Like, it is basically like, you know, Starship Troopers was satire. Like it leaned into it, but Helldivers is almost like 300% of what Starship Troopers was trying to do.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And but what I would say is when you think about the core themes of like action packed with comedy involved in it as well, Justin Lin's best movies have both of those things. You know?
Yeah.
Like his best movies have both of those core things. So from a directing standpoint, he knows how to make a movie in the right style for Helldivers. Whether he has the people around him to have enough familiarity with the product to make existing fans happy while also bringing it to a new audience is another question. But that's something that remains to be seen over the course of this project, you know. And like I said, for all we know, in 6 months' time, we'll be hearing he's walked away and they've got somebody else. You know,
I mean, I'll trust him for now because Fast 5 is one of my favorite movies. So
I think Fast 5 is probably the best Fast movie. Like still
absolutely the best. Yeah. All righty. So we are going to move on here. All right. The creative director of Clair Obscur Expedition 33 has acknowledged the role Game Pass played in helping to spread the word about the game's quality. In a statement on the official Xbox Wire blog, creative director Guillaume Broche said that he was grateful for the support that fans of the game have given it since it was released in April. This year has been so far beyond what any of us could have imagined, and it's down to how passionate and supportive our fans have been to make that reality. It's really nerve-wracking to be a new studio releasing our first game, but the support of everyone has really made everything feel like a dream. Broche has attributed some of the success to Xbox Game Pass, which says was a useful way of getting the game in the hands of people who may not traditionally play turn-based RPGs, but were more than willing to try it out as part of their subscription rather than outright buying it at full price. From being there to announce our game back in summer of 2024, to coming to the studio to coming to the studio for the developer direct video in January, Xbox helped us get the word out there and reached a lot of players. A lot of people trying our game when maybe they may not have before. The turn-based RPG genre has a lot of fans, but sometimes it might put people who prefer more real-time action games off. But Game Pass lowered that barrier of entry. They could just try it and see how it feels. So a lot of curious players could start the game, explore Lumiere and the early game, and then realize there's a lot here to enjoy, even if they weren't expecting it at first.
So I just want to say something before we go any further. I thought that Game Pass didn't help games and was a cancer to the industry and terrible.
Yeah, I don't know. It sounds like something like a douchebag would say.
Yeah, I know. It's like
I mean, it's not like it's here's the thing, Jordan. It's not like that game is up for multiple Game of the Year awards.
No, not at all.
Shit, it is. Well, fuck. Well, I mean, I guess Game Pass is just going to ruin that, right?
Like this is the thing. Let's remember, okay, this video game has sold 5 million copies, I believe, at last reported number. That's a lot of copies for a studio's first ever video game. That's a lot of copies. Not to mention
all the copies that were kind of cost exchanged to them for the amount of money of putting that game on Game Pass.
Yeah, precisely. So, we have no idea what fee they got, but I imagine they got a fairly sizable fee from Xbox for the game going into Game Pass. And I guarantee you that what they're saying here is exactly the truth of the matter. There are people that would have played this game because it was in Game Pass and never would have touched it otherwise. And how many of those people would have then said to their friends, oh, you've got to play this game, it's really cool, Or how many of them are people that don't normally like turn-based games, but because they could try it because of the low barrier to entry here, they go, yeah, maybe I don't like the gameplay, but maybe they're captured by the story and the world in that first hour or so, and they continue playing, I know a lot of people who've played this game that do not like turn-based games, but they played it because they like the characters, the writing and the story and the music and everything else about the video game. It's Game Pass is an amazing, amazing discovery tool. And this is another sign. And the thing is, this one can't even be disputed because this is a very successful game still saying, oh yeah, Game Pass actually helped us. This isn't just some little indie game that costs £5 to purchase that got a bigger audience because of Game Pass. This is a game that has sold 5 million copies, probably would have sold 5 million copies anyway, and was even more discoverable because of Game Pass, and has gone on to be, for many people, it will be their game of the year, and for many, many people, it's actually more than their game of the year. It's one of the best video games they've ever played. So it's
except for Shroud.
Yeah, apparently. So I mean, it's interesting, and I'm glad that we have this quote from the game director and this news piece, because there are so many negative stories about Game Pass all the time. And I'm not saying that Game Pass never negatively impacts a game, because it absolutely does. It's impossible for it to have a positive impact on every single game that goes into that service. But being more discoverable is always going to open up the possibility of your game having more overall success. Like, for example, Jeff, if you had a friend, let's say that you had a friend who only plays on PlayStation, right? And therefore they can't access Game Pass, but you played Clair Obscur Expedition 33 and you recommended it to them because you played it on Game Pass. Do you think that with your recommendation, that person would be more or less likely to buy the game than without your recommendation?
I mean, recommendations certainly help, but financial access to games, I think, are sometimes a bit more than a recommendation. Like a recommendation can lead you down the path of possibly trying it, but then when they see that it's like $80, they're like, I don't know if I want to take the jump on $80 to like try and see if I like it.
Absolutely. But that's kind of my point, right? Is there's a multi-pronged approach with Game Pass that people can easily jump into it for a much more affordable price. And yes, okay, that price has gone up. But let's be real, as we've said before, it's still a great deal and it's still very much more affordable for most people compared to buying games outright, okay? That's just the reality of the situation. And when you've got more people that can try the game and potentially enjoy the game, that's more recommendations and word of mouth you're getting out there, right? And that's basically what the director is saying is because of the word of mouth about the quality of the game, that is what has led them to so many sales for this video game. Like, so Game Pass helped them get an initial burst of players, which then led to a much bigger burst of sales that they may or may not have gotten without Game Pass. Because if this game wasn't on Game Pass, many less people would have tried it, which means you would have had less people recommending it in the first place, which means it might not have had that word of mouth to become the massive success it has become. So, you know, I'm glad to hear this story. I'm glad that we're still seeing developers coming out and explaining that Game Pass is and can be very helpful. And you know, I can imagine that for a studio like Sandful with their first game, imagine if they had to release this without Game Pass. It would have been much more nerve-wracking, I imagine, because they would have had to have hit a certain number of sales just to make their money back.
It wouldn't have been so much in the discussion. Sorry, I think Banter's sleeping.
Hunter is sleeping.
His little paws are like hitting the back of my foot.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't think they would have been in the discussion as much. And I think you probably would have been looking at like maybe 1.5 to 2 million, maybe.
Yes.
But
that's a lot less. Like, that's a lot less money. like half the sales at best as what they, you know. And the other thing is, let's be real, without that discussion becoming so big around the game, would they be nominated for the awards that they've been nominated for?
I mean, would the game
year?
even be in the state it is it in? Because Game Pass, they get that money up front. So
Precisely.
that could have contributed to development and stuff like that. I mean, we've seen some games. I can't remember the name of it. It's like a tea something, Spirit Tea. They specifically said that the money that they got from Game Pass allowed them to delay the game, make it even better.
Yeah.
And then released it.
Well, we know a similar thing happened with Stalker 2, right? Like, they said that without Xbox and that Game Pass deal, that game probably would have been cancelled. Like,
so again, like there's pros and cons, and like, I mean, obviously you get, you know, not every game is going to have like the disaster that was like Outriders, where they were, kind of blaming Game Pass for like weak sales and all that kind of stuff too. So
and also I think that it's also on the developer to be honest, right? It's like, and what I mean by that is, yeah, sure, to some extent I'm sure that Game Pass does hurt your sales, you could argue, but ultimately very weak sales of a video game are not to do with it being on a subscription service. They are to do with the quality of the game not being good enough to hit your sales expectation for it. For example, Call of Duty. Sure, it would have sold some more copies if it wasn't on Game Pass this year. But I guarantee you it still would have sold less than previous years because the quality of the game is not as high. Like,
so a lot of people are like probably really investing in get the Game Pass access to it now. I mean, I've been watching like people doing like the midnight things at EB, and there's like 5 people there.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Like the world's changed. I'm glad that Game Pass helped Claire Expedition 33 become a success, and I'm glad that the team have kind of pointed that out because, like I say, I think there's so much negativity around subscription services in general that hearing how they help can only help the conversation, right? So I think that's
Yeah.
a good thing. And I'll speak more about the game later on in the episode. Let's just say that.
Nice. Alrighty. I'm gonna move on to this story here. All right. So this is a story in which Game Pass could help. Yacht Club Games is relying on the success of its next game to secure its future, its co-founder said. The studio, best known for Shovel Knight and its numerous expansions and spin-offs, was set to release its long-awaited Mina the Hollower on October 31st before delaying it to an unannounced yet future date. Now, in an interview with Bloomberg, co-founder and studio director Sean Velasco said the game's sales will play a big role in determining the future of the company, including whether there is one. It's make or break for sure, Velasco said. If we sold 500,000 copies, then we would be golden. If we even sold 200,000 copies, that would be really, really great. If we sold like 100,000, that's not so good. Given that Shovel Knight has sold more than 3 million copies since its release in 2014, some may believe that the studio's target for Mina the Hollower should be manageable. However, as marketing director Celia Schilling pointed out to the publication, your company is only as strong as your last game. The implication then is that if Mina the Hollower doesn't hit the figure Shovel Knight is hoping to reach, it may potentially spell curtains for a studio which, according to the article, has already churned through most of its capital, downsized, and put a second project, a 3D Shovel Knight, a sequel, on hold. Velasco told the publication that should the worst happen and Mina the Hollower does not see strong sales, he believes the studio can survive, saying that if Mina flops, we'll still be around. He then said, however, reported quickly following up by his conceding that we would still need more money. Mina the Hollower was originally announced in early 2022 with a Kickstarter campaign raising about $1.2 million and an estimated December 2023 release date. As the project continued to grow in scale, however, it was heavily delayed, leading to a current situation 2 years later where the game currently still does not have a release date. So, I mean, this is the kind of thing where Xbox could come in and say, like, hey, we'll pay you for like 150,000 copies sold as part of a Game Pass deal. You know, they could essentially do something like that.
Absolutely.
But yeah, like it's sort of weird that like you have a company like Yacht Club Games that has one of the most recognizable video game characters in the last decade with Shovel Knight is struggling.
Yeah.
Like that seems kind of interesting.
I mean, I think it's where the industry is right now, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I hope, I do hope and wish them all the success with their upcoming game because I would hate to see them disappear because they, Shovel Knight was such an experience. Like they really captured something that I think people didn't even know they wanted. And I'd love to see them be able to continue making games. So hopefully their next game is a success and they can continue doing so.
Alrighty. Our last news story of the day. We covered this before, and now this is the kind of the final bit of news on it, and that is an artist whose work was used in Bungie's upcoming marathon without her permission or knowledge says the situation has now been resolved to her satisfaction. Back in May this year, Scottish artist Fern 4NT1R34I Fern Hook accused Bungie of taking assets from her previous work and using it in the alpha for Marathon. Bungie later acknowledged that Hook's claims were accurate and that claimed that a former staff member was responsible for taking her art. The developer subsequently pulled all gameplay footage from its following live stream and conducted a thorough review process to remove any art from the game that was inappropriately sourced and vowed to ensure that this situation doesn't happen again in the future. Now, Hook has posted a brief message on her Twitter account simply stating the marathon art issue has been resolved with Bungie and Sony Interactive to my satisfaction. It is not clear what the terms of this resolution were, nor is it known whether Hook's post on Twitter was one of conditions of the agreement. When Bungie initially acknowledged Hook's work had been used in the game, art director Joseph Cross claimed that the studio had reached out to her to apologize and made sure that they do right by her, but no specific details were shared on how it planned to do so. So this is kind of just a resolution to that type of thing where like there were things not put in place to properly make sure that all of the artwork was original to Marathon. I know there was talk about how like it just was forgot to have been deleted, that they used it for inspiration more so than anything else. It's hard to say exactly what the truth behind all of that is.
Yeah.
But it's one of the reasons why I haven't been so hot on covering anything with Bungie. It's just like this isn't the first type of issue that they've had with this stuff.
Yeah,
so
it's not.
it's good that that the deal has come through. And again, we don't know whether or not she was forced to say that as part of the agreement. There's no information there or what the agreement is.
And we also don't know what the agreement is. They might have just said it could have been as simple as if it was a genuine mistake, they might have just said, look, everything has now been removed. They might have given an apology, and that might have been the end of it. Like, because sometimes genuine mistakes do happen, and I know from my experience in development that when you have an in-progress project, you will use almost like placeholder content. Like, you'll find something pre-existing to take inspiration from, or in some cases, as we see now, you will use an AI creation as inspiration for your artists to then do something with, right? But there are occasions where this stuff gets put into a game somewhere buried deep within the code and that kind of thing, and it just kind of slips past the quality assurance checks, you know? And it, like, these things do happen. So I'm not saying I wouldn't be confident to come out here and say, no, Bungie are lying, like it wasn't a mistake, they did it on purpose. But at the same time, who knows, right? Because this isn't the first time for them. And that's the other thing. Like, if this was a genuine mistake from a studio that had done it the first time that this had ever happened, then I think it wouldn't even be a big deal. But because this has happened multiple times with Bungie over the years, I think that's why there was probably more eyes on this news. So I'm glad that it's finally resolved, whatever that means for this artist and the game itself.
Have you seen that that news article going around where there's like a Japanese game company that is, during the interview process, they actually have the interviewee create some form of artwork to prove that they're not using like generative AI?
I have heard about this. Yeah, I've heard about this. And it doesn't surprise me because, like I said, you can create some really cool stuff with AI now. And we have Jeff laughing as I'm talking about AI because I think one of his pets is doing something.
They were in this like pose looking at me for like, honestly, like 45 seconds. And
wow.
Like, it was just like, I don't know.
Oh, they're let down. Oh my god!
Like, he's got this side eye, kind of looking at me, kind of like,
yeah.
what?
He's like, look over here, look over
I'm
here.
not doing anything. But they were just like still for like 10 seconds. He was just kind of like looking at me. It was kind of like, yeah, we're playing it up. You know, it was oh my god, it was so funny.
Yeah, that is funny. That is funny. But yeah, I just think, you know, you can create some amazing stuff with AI now. And as I've always said, I'm not as against AI use as some other people. I think it's about the way that you use it. Like, if you use it as a supportive tool for inspiration and to help you with small things, but the actual creation is your own, then I think it's okay. But if you're someone who's out here making entire pieces of artwork using AI, or intros to a television show using AI, rather than actually hiring somebody to at least give you some creative input on it, even if you're ultimately using the AI to make it,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, that's just, to me, that's just scummy. Like, because ultimately, so much of creativity is about emotion, and it's about things that only humans can experience that AI
Yeah.
cannot experience, you know?
And a lot of the conversation kind of comes back to where a lot of art tools for digital programs like Photoshop and Illustrator and all that kind of stuff were said to take away the creative process because of a lot of shortcuts and the brushes and the stuff, even asset stores in game engines and stuff like that. So like, again, if you use those things properly, there's a lot of creativity that you can get to it that you probably didn't have before. So again, it's the ethical use of AI and like how you go about using its
like we'll be very honest and open. For example, with the content that we create, with our written work, we use AI to help with our punctuation and grammar, things like that, right? But we don't use the AI to write the stuff for us. Like,
No.
we don't have it change our words. We don't have it change what we actually want to say. We just have it make sure that what we've written is written in the correct way. That's all we do. It's and that's just more for uniformity and creating the best content possible. But I can assure you that every single word you read on our website is something that either we have sourced from somewhere else, like a press release, or is something that we are saying in our own words, right? Like, all of our game reviews are completely in our own words, in our own opinion. And that's why you'll notice that the way I write my reviews is different to Jeff, right? Even though we use the same AI tools to check our grammar and spelling and all that kind of stuff, our voice is different. The way that we actually write our reviews is different. You can tell the difference between a Jeff review and a Jordan review. And the same with Rebecca and Kelvin and Letitia and James. Like, we all have our own voice, but using AI to help us make sure that we are writing in the absolute correct way is okay. It's using it as a supportive tool. And I don't think anybody in their right mind, there's banter, I don't think anybody in their right mind should be against using AI as a tool, because ultimately humans are tool makers. And if we
and humans are tools.
yeah, and if we hadn't have made tools over the years, we wouldn't have games consoles right now. We wouldn't have all these different things that we love, right? So I think that I understand people's aversion to AI and concerns about it, and I'm not saying that those things are unfounded, because there's definitely concerns with AI, and certainly the way that some of these bigger companies use it. But if used correctly, it's actually a very valuable tool. So there we go. We got a little bit off track there, but I felt like it was part of the same sort of thing, because we've seen studios in the past have AI art stuck in their games somewhere, you know?
Yeah, like Call of Duty is being accused for their like player cards and stuff like that, because it was almost like, hey, take what's it, Miyazaki's artwork, whatever, and make like player cards out.
Yeah. The one thing I will say that has frustrated me about the general public aversion to AI, especially in the video game space at the moment and in the TV space and things like that, is when we've got to the point where people will see something they don't like and they'll call it AI slop when it's actually someone who's created it. And I saw recently that like there was an artist from Epic who works on Fortnite that had to defend the fact that he had actually created one of the characters or something rather than them using AI for it. And it's like, so I do think that people are using AI as a way of, oh, I don't like this, so it must be made by AI. Or like they'll see something that's really, really well done and they almost think, oh, it's too well done, so it must be AI. And it's like, that's not the case. Some people are just very, very good at what they do. Like, it's weird. It's weird to me that it's kind of infected. It's become this easy excuse when you want to be negative about something is, oh, let's just say it's AI slop. And it's like, but it may not even be AI in a lot of these cases. And I do think that without actual proof, we need to stop criticizing everything by saying, oh, they've used AI and they've done this and they've done that. How do you know? I'm pretty
sure the videos of like German Shepherds holding shotguns on their patio are absolutely real. You know, stop saying it's AI, people.
But you know exactly what I mean, though, right? Yeah. Like these people are just crazy. Like, please just keep the criticism to real criticism, because that's how we deal with the genuine concerns about AI. That's my thing. It's like, let's not get hyperbolic about it. Let's actually focus on the real potential issues of this technology rather than trying to blame everything on this technology, you know? But now, I think that's our news done for today, right?
Yippers, unless anything has broken the last minute here. Let's see here. Fallout's creator has rejoined Xbox's Obsidian, and you won't guess what he's working on.
Wow, I bet I will. I bet I will guess.
I'm back in Obsidian. I'm there as a full-time employee and in person, so not remote. So I'm not a contractor anymore. This means I'm not working at other places, although there's at least one game that I worked on elsewhere that I know is going to get. I can't talk about the project that I'm working on at Obsidian just because it's covered by NDA. Don't bother guessing. You're not going to guess right. I would probably say that I'm a lot less retired now. So who knows?
Interesting. Time will tell. But now let's get to some games we've been playing. I'm going to go first.
Sure.
Just because I haven't played as much this week due to being away and having this illness thing to contend with. But one of the things that I have been playing quite a lot recently in an effort to fully finish it and see as much of it as possible is Claire Obscure Expedition 33. And my God, this video game.
Where are you right now?
So I've met the weird gestural guy.
Have you got to the point where they're like, hey, you can go here or you can go here and you have to do something?
Yeah, so I can go two different ways. Yes.
Okay.
That is basically exactly where I left it when I played last night.
There's when you go to the one that's kind of like a fancy area with a lot of like puppets and stuff, make sure everybody is equipped with the ability to not be charmed.
Okay, interesting. Okay.
That will help you with the boss fight.
Okay, that's good to know. That's good to know. Thank you very much. But I love this video game. Like I cannot overstate how good this video game is. Like, from its writing and its performances and its music. My God, the music. Like I say it every time, but the music in this might be my favorite overall soundtrack to a video game.
It's not even nominated for the Grammy Awards.
Yeah, I know.
Best video game music. They got some other bullshit in there.
Yeah, I know. I noticed. But yeah, it's genuinely an outstanding video game, and I know that people might want to say, oh yeah, this wasn't actually an indie because they had loads of developers work on it. And it's like, yeah, but the core team that made this video game was still small. The core people behind the ideas, the writing, the performance capture. I've been looking into it a bit, and the performance capture for basically every character in this game was done by like 3 or 4 people. Like,
yeah, and like the team behind it, where the voice actors actually are saying that the Game Awards should have a best motion capture award.
Yeah. So the guy who does Eskier's voice in the English version of the game is actually basically the main male motion capture actor. And yet, you know, he motion captured basically every character you can think of that's a male in the video game to some extent. Should he not receive some praise for that? And I do like that they've kind of come out and they're flying the flag for that, because I do think that if we want to get to the point where video game awards are actually taken seriously and actually mean something, like how the Oscars, whether we like it or not, do actually mean something, then we need to be awarding all fields that are involved
in the Oscars. You have like best hair and makeup and best like outfitting and all that kind of stuff.
Precisely.
So, like, do we really need like Red Bull presents like esports gamer of the month or something? Like, we don't need that bullshit.
Like, and no offense to those esports awards, but they're nothing to do with the games themselves, you know?
Yeah, like I don't understand why those are there and then you don't get some of the other big things and stuff. So
yeah, it's really weird. But yes, I've been playing Clair Obscur Expedition 33. I love the video game. Monoko is possibly my favorite character, just because some of the writing for that character and the way the voice acting is delivered.
And it's like where he's like, I'm not joining you. It's not going to happen. We're going to kill a lot of people.
Yeah, that got me. And then the other one, like not long after that, where he's like, as a responsible parent, I think this is a brilliant idea. Like, it's really good. It's really, really good. I can understand why people might have some issues with it. Like, I can certainly see things in the game that people might take certain issues with. However, I'll be honest, if I had reviewed this game earlier this year, based on what I played, I probably would have given it a 10 out of 10. Like it, the only thing I dislike about it, and it's a small thing because it doesn't even impact a massive amount of the gameplay, but is the platforming, we'll call it. The platforming element of like trying to jump to certain things to get, you know, certain items, or like when you're trying to do the only up gestural island thing, and like, I get it, it's supposed to be a little bit wonky, but I feel like it could be better.
Monoko's or Motoko's or whatever, his mankini?
No, I haven't.
No? Okay. You have to do, it's one of the those jumping puzzles and stuff like that. You unlock his bikini thong. It's something.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. But yes, I really like the game. I'll still be playing more of it. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if this is very high on my end of year list, which it was going to be anyway. But as I play more of it and get closer to the end, it gets further and further up the list. So there's a little thing to think about there. I have also, before we get to what you've been playing, Jeff, I'm just opening my Steam because I've also played a few other things. Played a bit of Arc Raiders still. I've also picked up Moonlighter 2 now. I've purchased that for myself. I haven't played it yet, but I plan to play it very soon.
Yeah,
and then I've still been playing Monsters Are Coming, Rock and Road,
Yeah,
which
that's
is
on
that.
Game Pass for PC, I guess.
Oh, is it? Oh, interesting. Okay. Um, and then another thing that I've been playing, which I will be covering in the upcoming weeks, is Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord, which is an older release, but the reason I've been playing it is because they've just had basically a DLC added to the game, which
Yeah.
adds ship warfare rather than
Okay.
just land-based warfare.
Yeah, when you
So
told me that you were playing for some reason in my head, I thought you were saying that you were playing like Banner Saga DLC, and I'm like, wow, they're still making game DLC for that. Oh shit!
that's funny. That is funny. And then another cool game that I've played recently is something that most people might not have heard of because I believe it's only on Steam, as far as I can tell. It's called Pummel Party, and it's basically Mario Party, but you're killing each other as you go around the board, and all of the mini games effectively are different ways of killing each other. So like there's a
Oh,
first person shooter mini game, there's a Tron like mini game where you're trying to like trap your opponents. There's a hot potato mini game with a bomb. like like there's lots of different things going on, and it's very very fun. Very fun. I very much enjoy it. Um you can play up to 8 players as well, which is
okay.
nice. And there's local or online play as well, which is cool. And of course, with it not being a Mario game, hopefully it will come to other platforms one day. But as far as I know, it's only on Steam currently. Um, but yeah, it's very fun, very enjoyable. I enjoyed what I've played of it so far. I'm sure I'll play it with my friends some more at some point. Um, and then another thing that I've only played a little bit of, but I'm sure you can speak on more, Jeff, is well, because you have put out the review for it now, is I finally got access to and started playing Sonic Racing Crossworlds.
Nice.
And I like the game. It's good. Like
Yeah,
it's a good game.
Yeah, like I put in my review, it's like the only thing that I think that the game suffers from is it doesn't use the world hopping in interesting ways.
Yeah.
It's a mechanic that sounds great on paper, but I mean, I would have rather had it where you could manually alter it. So like you're playing a jungle course, and then if you picked up like a I don't know, a Candy World icon or a Frozen Wasteland icon, that you could change the course through different ways of that. That would have been interesting, because it's like, oh, there's a shortcut here on this turn in the Frozen area, but the shortcut is back further on the other area. That would have been more interesting. But here it's just like you finish a lap, you go into another course for a single lap that is devoid of any good level design, and then you just go back into it and do one more lap. And the idea is pretty interesting with how they execute it. But to me, it's the only part of the game that I think is lackluster, because I think the racing is really, really good. It's very challenging as well, too.
Yes, it is.
You have like a lot of like stats and stuff for the characters. So you can either make the rich richer, or you can kind of balance out certain characters. So if you really want to play as Big the Cat and you don't like how slow he is or whatever, you can boost that up with the different stat boosters and vehicle parts and all sorts of stuff. But the racing aspect of it is very, very good. I just think the gimmick that it hangs its hat on is just not interesting.
That's fair. I mean, I haven't played enough of it yet to comment fully on that.
Well, there's only 15 portal levels.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So you see a lot of them over and over and over again.
Interesting. That is interesting.
And they're only one lap, so why is there not like 40 or 50 of these things?
Yeah, they could have much more variation, right? They could have a lot more variation.
Think the portal stuff could have been used a little bit better, because I think like there's other games that do the portal swapping stuff that is more interesting. Like when you're playing like Ratchet and Clank, you're jumping between dimensions of the same space.
Yes.
And I think that could have benefited this game of having shortcuts going, okay, you pick up, a weapon or like a teleporting token, and that teleporting token will work in certain ways, but no, I just think that there's better use case for the technology that they were trying to.
Here's a question for you, because people will be wondering it this year. Is Sonic Racing Cross Worlds better, or is Mario Kart World better?
I think in terms of the actual like racing on the courses, I think that the gameplay is a little bit better for Sonic, but I think everything else that Mario does is better.
Interesting. Okay.
Like, I think like the courses in Mario Kart I find more enjoyable. I mean, they do have that stretch of going, across the country for different things and stuff. But I think that if you could only afford one, it would depend on where you're playing. If you're playing on the Nintendo Switch 2 or, Mario Kart World, I think is going to be the better option. But if you're playing on an Xbox or PlayStation, that answer is already made for you.
That's very true. That is very true. That's a good point. So, on that note, what other games have you played recently? Because I believe that you have played our release of the week this week, which is Marvel Cosmic Invasion.
So Marvel Cosmic Invasion is made by the same team that made TMNT Shredder's Revenge. So it's Tribute. They're back with Dotemu to make a new kind of pixel brawler. And this is an absolutely fun game. It's a little shorter than I was kind of hoping for. But it's got this tag feature where if you're playing online with 4 players, you can have up to 8 characters on screen at once. And it is so much fun. And it's on Game Pass, Jordan. So we could always play through a couple levels.
Yeah, we should.
It is really good. The join in and leave co-op is slick as fuck. It also shows you what characters people are playing as and where they are in the level when you're looking through the lobby stuff. It's got a really interesting use of characters. Jeff the Landshark's not playable, but he is featured in the game somewhere. No, it's got some really interesting characters that have never been in a video game before, or at least playable in a video game. You've got like Beta Ray Bill, you've got Phyla-Vell, you've got, She-Hulk. You've got Cosmic Ghost Rider, who's just kind of a thing now in Marvel. Like a lot of really interesting characters. They are doing a wait and see approach on DLC, so we could get the likes of Psylocke, we could get the likes of Jeff the Landshark, we could get Rogue, or we could get other characters. There's a lot of really interesting things that this game does in terms of its like
having no Fantastic Four is a surprise.
Yeah, I think Thing would have been good having another brawler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, no, I've seen bits and pieces of the game. It seems like exactly what I wanted it to be, so I will be playing it at some point.
Exactly what you want. I will say that the story is like the weakest part of that game, and a lot of the missions have these little bookend cutscenes are wonderfully drawn for pixel art, but they're almost incoherent in regards to like what you're actually doing. There's like 4 lines of dialogue to explain why you're there, but it doesn't quite make sense all the time. And also like you do see like Galactus show up from time to time, and he plays like a big role, but there's no actual boss fight with Galactus. You just fight Silver Surfer.
Interesting. Okay.
But like I would have loved like a top, like chest up fight with Galactus and stuff like that, but you get that fight with like a Sentinel type of fight, and I just kind of wish it had a little bit more variety in regards to like what the genre usually happens, where we get like a jet ski level or a car level or something like
some random levels, right?
There's no distractions really when it goes to do what it does, and it reminds me a lot of like even like the G.I. Joe brawler that came out a little while ago as well too.
Okay.
But it's excellent. Like it is exactly what you want it to be, and it is available on Game Pass, so you do have the option of trying it out there, and crossplay allows you to play with all your friends. So if you have Game Pass and they don't, and they're on another platform, you still can play with them.
Fantastic, fantastic. So what else have you played recently?
I've played probably around 2 hours of Metroid Prime 4 so far. So,
Which is
which
above
is
your head right now.
right there. I can line myself up with Samus pretty much there. Yeah, like it is excellent so far. I know a lot of people were saying like, "Oh, this game's ugly." I'm like, I don't know what fucking planet you're on. Yeah, it's it's a
No, I've
Switch
seen
One
it and it
game.
doesn't look ugly at all. I
No,
haven't played it yet because I don't.
it's absolutely gorgeous. And like, I picked up these super expensive little toys so I could like this one's interesting because when you're on the bike, and I haven't got to the bike yet, there's no audio for the bike, like in terms of like music playing in the background. You use
Yeah,
this guy to unlock a
yeah,
jukebox that you can then play while you're on the bike.
yeah. I know that some people feel a bit annoyed about that in particular.
Yeah.
I've seen that there is some backlash over like people saying should Nintendo be locking essentially the soundtrack of a video game in the game itself behind an amiibo.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean it's only when you're on the bike. I mean the music in this game is phenomenal. Like I've been doing my awards for the analog stick gaming. I've been adding to them
yes,
over the past couple of days, and like
yes.
Metroid is right up there for me, and with the soundtrack after only playing it for like 2 hours. The music is
Yeah.
phenomenal.
I need
And the
you
nice thing
to,
about it,
speaking of our awards, I need you to please send me that document so that I can start
oh,
filling out mine.
okay. Well, I sent you the list because the document that I've got right now has mine on there.
Okay.
So I would say just take the list that I've given you and just make your own document, and then because I
Yeah.
don't need access to your
And
document until
so that people know, are we what are we doing? Because obviously, with our game of the year, we will be doing a top 10 each, like we
yeah,
have always done.
yeah.
Are we doing top 5 for the other categories?
Yeah, so you'll basically pick like 5 options, and then you will number them 1 to 5, and the titles that have the most ones, or the most ones, will
Yeah.
have like the most
Yeah,
scores,
it's
and then
basically the point-based system that we do for our game of the year, but for every category. And we did it last year as well, and we will obviously at some point, because I know we changed our cut-off date this year to make sure that Metroid Prime 4 was in there. And at some point we will, on an episode of this very podcast, reveal our winners and then
yeah,
go through our game of the year as well. So make sure that you tune in for all
yeah.
that stuff.
But yeah, like Metroid so far is really good. I haven't tried the 120 FPS option on the console yet. I'm going to try that eventually.
I
But
hear that it's good.
yeah, like again, like it feels really good. I just unlocked Mackenzie right now, and you keep him alive during encounters and stuff and whatnot. Dan Reichert of Giant Bomb was saying that he's not an issue in the game, so I'm interested to see how that goes. But I know Skill Up was like, I do not recommend Metroid Prime 4.
Wow, okay.
So that's interesting.
Interesting.
But so far, I'm enjoying it so far. You get like psychic powers and stuff where you can move orbs and shit like that. And so I'm still pretty early on. So next week, or when we have our episode next week, I'll be talking a great deal more about it.
Absolutely.
But no, it's been excellent so far. I've never been a huge fan of Metroid Prime. Like Metroid Dread to me is my favorite Metroid game. I tried playing the first one, but the save spots were so far away that when you die, you just feel broken. That you have to kind of redo all that stuff. But we'll see how it continues to go.
I'm definitely interested to hear what you think when you've played more of it, because it's a game that I would like to play, but I'm probably going to wait until sort of Christmas and pick it up then and have it be my holiday period game.
I don't know if this has the same thing as Pokemon, where if you buy the Switch 1 version and then convert to the Switch 2 version, if it doesn't download the higher resolution textures, but just boosts the performance. I don't know, because that's what Pokemon does. And the review for Pokemon will be out probably today or tomorrow.
Nice.
But yeah, like so far, Metroid Prime 4 is excellent. Visually, I think it looks fantastic for a game that has its roots in Switch One.
Yes.
But no, it's so far it's excellent. It's doing the things that I need to do. The shooting and aiming feels really good. The scanning and stuff is really nice. The first boss, like, they teach you how to do these mechanics to open a door, and then those mechanics translate into the boss, where you're shooting these little pus pockets and stuff that are on him and stuff. And it's really nice. He reminds me of like the Covenant in Halo, because he's got those like little feelers.
Yeah.
But
well, it is funny because there's a lot, from what I know, there's quite a few former Halo developers that were on the development team for this game. So
yeah.
So that's interesting to hear that it reminds you.
Yeah, and it looks really good on Switch too. Like, holy hell! Like the scale and atmosphere of everything, that's really nice. The clarity and quality.
So it's better looking than Pokemon and the city there.
I haven't seen a single building with repeated textures anywhere.
This is when you get to one area of the game in like a couple of hours.
When I was gathering the news today, I saw on VGC they gave Pokemon Legends ZA a 5 out of 5, saying it excels over Arceus in every single way. My review is the exact opposite, is that Arceus is better than Legends ZA in every single way.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't look.
That's funny. That is funny. But you have, of course, played one other thing as well. So why don't you tell people a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I've been playing a little bit of Where Winds Meet. It ended with free play, so I jumped in on playing that. I will say that apart from its absolutely horrible menus and the way that it tries to push monetization into every aspect of the game, that's the big downsides to it. But the game itself, like the combat and the feel of everything, feels really good. I did find it confusing that I went to create my character and I had these like bangs and stuff like that, and then when I picked my actual character, or when I made my actual character and went into the gameplay, it picked a completely different hairstyle, and I can't change it to that one now.
Oh,
I don't know why. Like, you spend, because like everything else was fine, but the hairstyle is different. I picked this really
that
cool
is weird.
And I don't know
maybe it's a bug.
I don't know. Like I don't know if it was like I picked a hairstyle that was like not free or something, and it didn't give me an indication. But no, like so far it seems really good. Like there's co-op aspects to it, so like I think it's free to play.
It is, yeah, free to play.
So, no, I knew it was free to play. I think the free to play aspect of it allows for free multiplayer.
Interesting. Okay.
I think that PlayStation and Xbox have a thing where if a game's free to play,
if it's free to play, yeah, you normally don't have to have the online. Yeah.
So like I'd love to try co-op on that. But no, so far it seems really good. Actually, I did play co-op with somebody on a boss. Now that I think about it. But no, it seems really good. I will say that all of the tech issues that I've seen that game has had, it definitely has those things where characters' mouths don't move properly to the voice. Sometimes the dialogue overlaps. Some of the voice acting is not terribly great. But no, I've enjoyed what I've played of it. It feels very good to play. There's a lot of skills and weapons and abilities that you kind of get through and go through. But I will say, like, unlocking some of the visual stuff, it's very confusing on how you go about doing that. I don't think the menus really do it any favors, because I don't know what's free. I don't know what's part of certain things. It doesn't do a good job explaining the differences between the monetization stuff.
Okay.
Because it's like, I wanted a really cool outfit, and it's like, unlock this quest first. And then I did that quest. And then all of a sudden it just becomes something in the shop that I can then buy. Like, there was no indication that I wasn't going to earn this thing in the game until I unlocked it, and it told me that, oh, I need to buy it in the shop. So, yeah. But no, it is excellent. It's not like a Souls-like or anything like that. Combat is more of an action kind of thing, and so far it seems pretty good. Like I'm definitely going to give it some more time. But yeah, and then the only other thing that I've been playing that I'm going to be slowly getting a review out for is the Thief VR game.
Oh, nice.
It doesn't have teleport moving, so right now the movement is making me kind of sick, and I've let the VR company know, saying like, hey, I can only play a little portion of this every day because like it's making me like literally dizzy. You just feel VR sweats within like 10 minutes.
Oh, wow.
It's really neat. I will say it has some of like the best lockpicking I've ever played in VR, and it's co-developed by the team at Vertigo who did the Arizona Sunshine and Sunshine 2 and the Metro games and stuff. But I'm going to keep playing it and put out a review for it because I think it's doing some really interesting things in VR.
Nice.
I just wish it had teleport moving. Holy hell.
Yeah, it would make it easier to play, right?
Or at all, really.
God. Yeah, no, definitely. Well, I think that's mostly it for this episode, but I do want to give you an update on some things coming to the website because James, our colleague James, will have a review for Clawpunk that will be posted most likely later today. Jeff has got reviews coming up, as he mentioned previously.
Yeah, we just put out a review for Clover Pit. Kelvin picked up that game on his own time and has put a review out for it.
Yeah. So we've got reviews coming. We posted quite a bit of news yesterday because there was lots of news from the PC game show and things like that. There was different announcements and
there's some really sick games that were announced at the PC game show. One that was like one that's coming to PS5 and Xbox Series X. What is it called? I know it's here. I can pick it up. Luna Abyss reveals titled "The Eye Has Opened." That game looks absolutely sick.
Yes, it does.
And also we got more. We got a release date now for Mio Memories in Orbit.
Yes.
Which is going to launch in January.
And we've also got a release date for Replaced now as well.
Yeah, there's some pretty decent stuff. But definitely check out some of the news that we've posted on it.
Yes.
And,
yeah, there's, like I say, there's always news coming to the website. We've got reviews coming. Like I said, James is doing one. That will be out later today. Jeff's probably got a couple on the way, as he always does. On the YouTube channel, like I say, episode 4 of the Black Ops 7 co-op campaign will be out on Monday at 5 p.m. UK time. That's already prepared and edited because I had to do a little edit at the beginning just because cutting it was weird. And we will record what should be the final 2 episodes of that playthrough very soon, and you'll have them in the upcoming weeks to watch. And if you haven't been watching it, please go and do that because it's a new style of content from us, but we wanted to kind of expand and do some different things. And we've done some live streams with relative success before. So now we figured why not try a playthrough or 2? And if you guys enjoy it, we'll certainly do more of different games and different playthroughs because there's so many co-op games these days. Many
we
things.
Probably do like a 2-episode thing of Marvel Cosmic Invasion because it is short.
Yeah. So there's many things we could do. Of course, next week, our episode probably won't be till the weekend, or we might even do it live because we have the Game Awards coming up, right? So the Game Awards is on Thursday night late for me. So I'll try and do it live if I can, but because of time zones and things, that's not always possible. However, if we don't do it live, what we will do is we'll record our reaction to it. We'll try and kind of do something like we did before where we recorded our reaction and then released it on YouTube later. So our episode next week won't be on Wednesday. It might be on Thursday if we do it live. And if it's not live, it will probably go out on Friday because it gives me time to edit the recording if we need to in any way. But yeah, we'll be doing Game Awards next week, Game Awards reactions, and perhaps a bit of what we've been playing and things in the pre-show, because there's usually not massive amounts of stuff that happens in the pre-show of the Game Awards.
In the pre-show, it doesn't make it a pre-show. Sydney Goodman, I don't know what you're trying to do.
But yeah, so we'll see. I'm looking forward to it. There's that weird thing that they've been teasing with a statue out in the desert somewhere. Who knows what that is? There's been so much speculation about that.
It's a really good announcement. So
yeah. And my thing was, there are only so many companies that do something like that for an announcement. So it is going to be interesting to see. I'm looking forward to that one. Looking forward to seeing who wins all the awards. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting week in the games industry. Probably a very busy one as well. So make sure you stay tuned to Analog Stick Gaming, because even if you can't watch our reactions here on the YouTube channel, we will have as much of the Game Awards news as possible up on the website in the days following the ceremony itself. So make sure that you head over to Analog Stick Gaming and check out all that stuff. If you've enjoyed this podcast episode, thank you for watching and listening. Please like, share with your friends, subscribe to the channel, because that lets us know that you're actually out there listening to this stuff, and that it gives us a reason to continue doing more content. Like, this podcast is never going to go away because we enjoy doing it. But if you want more YouTube content from us, we need to see that the people are there to do it for, right? So if you want more content from us, please make sure you're subscribed. That's really important, and it does help us out a lot. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and it's a goodbye from me.